Hey guys, welcome to Boxing Squared for boxing news and views from around the internet. The lines have well and truly been drawn in the negotiations between Deontay Wilder and Anthony Joshua, and also their fans too, I might add, with the Britain offering the Bronze Bomber a flat fee of £8.8 million to fight him in an undisputed clash between the two heavyweight champions. So let's be clear here before we go any further. £8.8 million, that is $12.5 million US when converted. And through this video, I will be very clear about the figures because there's a lot of figures being thrown around right now, quite recklessly in some cases, and some of them aren't accurate. And some of the numbers that we have or have been talking about, they're in pounds, US dollars, and in Joseph Parker's case, New Zealand dollars. So what I'll do is I'll get to the offer, how it came about, the reaction from Deontay Wilder, and the quotes from his manager Shelly Finkel. And then I'll touch on the broader reaction, my thoughts on where all this sits, and also in relation to the Parker negotiation some time ago, because there's more than a bit of deja vu right now. But bear in mind, the respective teams, they are currently in a negotiation phase. It's important not to forget that. Nothing is set in stone. There's room to move, and no doubt the offer or offers will change. And just keep it respectful in the comments section towards those with a different view to yourself. I mean, there's no need for extreme comments and name callings. And no doubt there's already a few heroes who have not even got this far into the video, but they've left their steaming pile of a calling card in the comments section. And you'll be able to spot that immediately as well. Okay, so let's get into it. So this guy, American boxing writer Adam Abramowitz, he is widely credited with breaking the news that Deontay Wilder had been offered $12.5 million to face Anthony Joshua, saying, "Sources told me today that Eddie Hearn offered Wilder's side 12.5 M take it or leave it offer for an Anthony Joshua fight, for a fight with potential revenues of $80 to $100 million in revenues. That offer is far below 20% of potential revenues." Okay, so you can take it from the sources told me bit that this was either fed to him directly from Team Wilder or via a third party who'd been asked to drop the offer or part of what they wanted to get out there to the media. It's a pretty common tactic, happens all the time. It's a good scoop for Abramowitz, and it does serve a good purpose for Team Wilder, because immediately $12.5 million and $100 million US dollars, they are coupled together in the same sentence. It's a powerful contrast, and on the face of it, it would appear to represent a 12.5% cut of the pie for Deontay Wilder. And even if you are taking that lower figure of $80 million, that works out at just under 16%. But here's the rub. It wouldn't actually be 12.5%. And hear me out on this. And it wouldn't be just under 16%. Because it fails to account for the fact that a massive event needs to be paid for. Stadium hire for the week or so that they need to set it all up, run it, decouple it, and take it apart at the end. All the associated event costs from the promotion, security, catering, and 1,000,001 other bills that would need to be paid. And remember, the broadcaster Sky is clipping the ticket on each and every pay-per-view, as would the American broadcaster who'd be doing the same. So these overall costs to run the event and the pay-per-view cut for the broadcasters, it's very significant. We're talking in the tens of millions of dollars for an event this size, because there would be so many buys. The event is so big. All the associated logistics, costs, all that sort of thing. It's massive. So a $12.5 million flat fee, it may actually represent more like 20 or 25%, a number somewhere around there at least, of the profits. And remember, Joshua, he also needs to get paid from the profits as well. And he's probably getting something like $20 million at the very least, if not a few $1,000,000 more. So it's not like $87.5 million is going straight into Eddie Hearn or Joshua's pockets. I've seen that suggested elsewhere by some. So just to get it clear, the $12.5 million flat fee is not a 12.5% offer, because the profits will be much less than $100 million once you account for the cost of the event and the money that the broadcasters and others take through the pay-per-view. But still, whatever the projected revenues for a Wilder-Joshua fight, they will be significant. I have no doubt the offer is well skewed in Joshua and Eddie Hearn's favour. I mean, hence why some fans have reacted angrily to the news, saying it's a complete lowball offer. And I feel it's probably a bit on the low side too. But what does Deontay Wilder think? So he's taken to Instagram, see on screen, to say it's obvious at this point, 40-0 with 39 KOs, they don't want no smoke. At some point in life, a boy must detach his lips from his mum nipples and become a man. I'm just saying. His manager, Shelly Finkel, he has spoken to the Telegraph's, and that's a UK-based paper, to the Telegraph's San Francisco-based boxing correspondent. And Finkel says, this is the first offer, which was a flat fee with no place, date or venue. Nor even whether it was the next fight. It was a take it or leave it offer. We will respond appropriately in the next day or so with our counter offer. If Joshua is serious, we will take the fight. Deontay wants this fight. He doesn't want anyone else. So you can gather there from Deontay Wilder and Shelly Finkel's comments. It's a no on this offer, this $12.5 million flat fee, and negotiations continue. It's been very interesting watching some of the respective fans weighing in comment sections, you know, through YouTube and elsewhere. My own comment section from my last video included. Because there's a faction of Joshua fans who are adamant that Wilder does not deserve $12.5 million. They don't want to see him getting overpaid. And there's a faction of Wilder fans who are outraged that their man might be getting lowballed. And they're expecting that he will be lowballed by Eddie Hearn, who they dislike, and Joshua, who they think doesn't want to fight Deontay Wilder. And this is where I want to come back to something that I said in my previous video. Joshua's definition, because he said an offer was coming and it was a good one, his definition of a good offer, it could well differ to your view and mine. And his good offer is now going to be counted. And actually that's what we should be expecting. This is what should be happening. We are in a negotiation phase right now. Did we really expect the first major offer to be accepted? Just think, if you were negotiating, wouldn't you offer less than you were willing to pay? Wouldn't you leave yourself room to negotiate? Room to go up or down depending on your position? I know that when I've been going into new jobs and negotiating a salary, I've tried to negotiate a better deal for myself. I mean, after all, why wouldn't I? Why wouldn't you if you're in the same position? So I think some of the rhetoric that Wilder should take what he's offered, it does fail to account for the fact we're in a negotiation stage. And right now what they're doing is negotiating. So some of the rabid comments and just outright, bullshit that's been said, I think, some people need to dial it back a bit, wind their necks in, because we're going to have a bit more back and forth. I have no doubt about that. And if one side does feel that the other is being unreasonable, you can also expect they're probably going to leak to the media again, because it's a very effective tactic. It stirs up the media and the fans respectively. And don't discount the possibility that there are tactical leaks to help build more momentum and interest in the fight. And just remember what Shelly Finkel said there, that essentially there was no meat on the bones to that offer. Doesn't that strike you as a little bit strange? No date, no venue, no nothing essentially, but just a flat fee. Seems a bit curious to me. And just look how much attention that this leak has got. So you could well expect a few more. And especially, if they want to get a bit more interest out there. And cast your mind back to late 2017. Doesn't this all feel very familiar? With Joseph Parker's promoter, David Higgins, he was crying foul about lowball offers from Eddie Hearn. He was saying all sorts of stuff at the time, and that was going on for some time. And the whole situation, it generated a lot of headlines and a lot of buzz for a Parker-Joshua fight. But at the same time, it did become a bit tedious at times as they publicly haggled over splits. So there is a fine line to be walked here. But in terms of Parker and his deal, and this is something I just wanted to get to for some context, because context is important, context is key. So he got somewhere between 30 and 35%. But of what? And also was never disclosed the actual percentage. We were just told that it was between a range between 30 and 35%. The actual figure, it was never disclosed. So if anyone is telling you that it's 33, 32.5, 34, whatever, they're either misremembering or they're making it up, because the actual number wasn't disclosed. But essentially, let's say, for argument's sake, it's a third of the profits. And by profits, what we mean is the money that is left over after everything has been paid for. The broadcasters got their money, the event is squared away. We don't actually know how much revenue that the Parker-Joshua fight generated. So Parker's exact cut is unknown. Although there was speculation that his cut would be somewhere around 13.5 million New Zealand dollars. That's New Zealand dollars. That is £7 million, or the equivalent to 10 million US dollars. So the flat fee that Wilder has been offered is greater than the projected amount that Parker was allegedly going to receive, or the approximate amount. But I would like to pose one thing though. Why a flat fee? Is it possible that the Parker fight actually did greater bank than was anticipated, and Parker is going to, or has wound up receiving more than the estimated figure? It's certainly possible. We're not privy to some of the financials on this, so we will probably never know, but he was doing quite well regardless. But a flat fee, it would certainly cap Wilder's earning and stop a repeat performance if indeed Parker got more than expected. And you'd imagine that a Wilder-Joshua fight is a much bigger fight. But let's be real about this. They need to be realistic if they want to make the fight. They're going to have to offer a similar type of deal, but better than what Parker got. So, a profit sharing arrangement as was secured by David Higgins for Parker, it would seem somewhat inevitable. But the million-dollar question is, well, what is the number that gets the deal done? And especially, throw into the mix here, something that wasn't in the Parker deal that is in this one, is there is a rematch clause for both. So what is the number? What's going to get the deal done? Because remember, a rematch clause, that guarantees a second payday. So whatever you get now, you go, okay, well, I'm at least going to make this in the rematch. Getting paid twice, not a bad thing. So perhaps this rematch, it's actually clouding some of these early offers in the amount, because actually, whatever it is, double it at the very minimum because of the second fight. And I guarantee you, Hearn-Joshua, they're looking at this, they don't want to overpay. They feel that they've been overpaying all their opponents in recent, well, pretty much from the beginning. And they don't want to spend too far over what they deem to be fair. But their definition of fair could well differ to your definition and my definition of fair. But they are going to have to overpay to get this deal done. But every cent that they do, it does eat into their slice of the pie. And remember, millions and millions of pie is at stake here, and both sides will be trying to claw for every cent they can get. But I'll just add here, just before I go, if we're in the same situation in a couple of weeks, where we're going round in circles, not much is happening, it's rinse and repeat, it's going to get pretty tiresome. I'll stop talking about it because it just gets boring after a while. Right now, this is still fresh, people are still reacting, but it will get tedious. And I do want to drop a sound effect here, because this is how I will feel if we're covering the same stuff in 2 or 3 weeks' time. But I'll make that the only sound effect that I'm using in this video, apart from the ding 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 at the beginning, because there was some constructive feedback for the last video that thought I was maybe overusing the sound effects. But I've got to say, I love using them. You know, I like being creative, and you know, sometimes I'm just in a mood where I'm like, actually, I'll just chuck a couple of those in. So apologize if you felt that I did overuse them. I do like to use them to just do something a little bit different, mix it up, because I don't know about you, but there's hundreds of channels on YouTube largely doing the same thing, and I look at some of this and think, what can I do to sort of separate myself? And so the production value and adding some stuff in is stuff that I do like to do. You know, it's obviously a work in progress and I'll be tweaking it, but thank you for the feedback on the sound effects. Maybe I did go a little bit too far. I think I used about 8 or 10 of them in the last video, but I'll take it on board. It is a sort of refining process the further I get into this. But anyway, what do you make of this all? This offer to Deontay Wilder, flat fee, $12.5 million US. Clearly going to be counted. Wilder fans aren't happy. A lot of Joshua fans who've left comments in my videos, comment sections, other videos, they think that's probably too much. What do you make of it? Drop a comment loud and often, hit like, hit subscribe, follow me on Twitter, boxing_squared. I'm out.